10 minutes, line up.
Most people are familiar with Alcatraz in San Francisco Bay for its history as a federal prison, but we're about to head to the island to tell you about a 1969 occupation that historians say influenced a Native American movement that still inspires activists today.
There's the possibility of encountering rough water.
Surrounded by strong currents and cold water, the island of Alcatraz was designed to imprison some of the country's most notorious criminals. But the penitentiary shut down in 1963.
Get the leg going. All right.
6 years later, in 1969, Eloy Martinez stepped foot on the island to participate in a Native American occupation.
All right, all kinds of new stuff out here.
It's now a key part of the island's history.
Eloy, I've incorporated you into my walking tour.
All right.
I talk about the restoration of the water tower in 2019 and how you were one of the people involved.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Historians say Native Americans chose to take the island because of an 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie that allows the indigenous people to occupy land abandoned by the federal government. Yale professor of American Studies Ned Blackhawk says Native Americans were demanding reparations for what had been taken from them.
Start trying to think through, how do we articulate what we want in relationship to these current government policies, as well as the future of an Indian world that we would like to inhabit.
Blackhawk says the federal government had passed laws in the late 1940s and early 1950s that called for tribal nations to be terminated. It was known as the era of assimilation.
That's what you did all day long, man. Follow the rules.
Today, Eloy visits often. His hope, he tells me, is that the occupation is never forgotten. He points out the welcome sign that was painted by Native Americans soon after they arrived on the island.
How you doing? And they said they wanted something controversial. And I said, why are you going controversial? Paint that sign back up, because everybody will have to say, what the hell is that? Why is it there? And that's exactly what they do,
Eloy says nostalgic feelings flood back every time he returns.
Free. It was free, happy, yeah. Because people were doing things, it was fresh. Nothing like that had ever happened anywhere else.
He often returns with his good friend Ilka Hartman.
And this one, you can see the energy,
She's a photographer who was born in Germany during World War II. She says the genocide Native Americans faced during the gold rush in the U.S. reminded her of genocide during World War II.
You could barely see her white pants. It was so foggy.
Igniting her passion to stand up for marginalized communities.
I was trying to show them with their pride and their success.
She captured all of these photos during the 19-month occupation. They are now on display at an exhibit on the island that she hopes becomes permanent.
Very amazing that all this work is still alive.
Only about 89 indigenous men, women, and children seized the land, but as Blackhawk states, they also seized the nation's attention.
And for the first time really in the 20th century, Native Americans land literally on the front pages of the national headlines and newspapers.
Change did happen.
Termination policies were ended, Indian child and welfare acts were enacted, religious acts were enacted, and that would have never happened if Alcatraz hadn't happened.
Sacred land is still being returned to Native tribes today, a revolution they say started with the Alcatraz occupation. Elizabeth Ruiz, Scripps News, San Francisco.